Hello again. I am back. I had some good feedback on my previous video, and I also had a couple not so great feedbacks, and that's great. I mean, even the negative feedback kind of fuels me. I'm a stubborn bitch, so if people are telling me I can't or shouldn't do something, well, I'ma do it and do it with flair. But so today was a decent day. First half of the day, I was doing really well. I meditated last night. It helped a lot. I'm gonna do it again tonight. But around 3 o'clock today, like the anxiety started to creep back up. And by 5:30, I had another panic attack. Now, that might have been because most of the day I was alone, and then, I went to visit the girls and have dinner, and so I was suddenly around lots of sound and people, and I don't know if that was what caused it or what brought it on, but it happened. Thankfully, it was relatively easy as far as those go. I'm going to try to focus a little more on the topic today, but on a topic, let's talk about drugs and mental health. I have been on an antidepressant or another since either my early 20s or my mid 20s. My doctor had originally prescribed me Paxil for migraines. I still don't, now I look back on it, I'm not quite sure what that was about. Maybe she just thought I was really messed up and that was her way of trying to get me on them without freaking out. I don't know. Eventually I had no dynamic range with it. Like, I didn't have ups, I didn't have downs. I was just so flat. And no, that's not good. And I've tried other drugs over the years, like Effexor, which was the absolute worst one I've ever tried. To each their own. Every drug is very different for every person. For me personally, Effexor was awful. Wellbutrin has been my most reliable antidepressant that I've been on and off through the years. Currently, or I should say in the past month, or a month ago, I was on Wellbutrin, Lexapro, Clonidine, Ambien, a blood pressure pill, and then Ativan for panic attacks as needed. I'm probably missing something. Anyway, a lot. More than I care to be on, but I'm also, I know that medicine has its benefits, whether it's to get you to a state that you can work on your issues more readily, or because maybe that's just what your brain chemistry needs. I wouldn't doubt that, I'm gonna maybe always have to be on antidepressants in one form or another, and I'm okay with that. But it's the other ones that I'm having issues with. First up was Ambien, because I started having reactions to that I didn't like. I'd been on Ambien for 8+ years. And as someone who has been on it long term like that, can I just say to anyone is considering it or on it or whatever, get off it. If you're on it for more than 2 weeks, there's just too many side effects. Memory loss, which I have horrible memory. I used to have an amazing memory, and not anymore. I know there's different reasons for that, but the Ambien, yeah. So I'm coming off Ambien, and then I came off Clonidine, and then I came off Lexapro, and I've come off Lexapro once before, and it was brutal. And no different this time, it has been brutal. So 3 major drugs that I have come off of in the past month, 4 or 5 weeks. I'm sure that has a lot to do with how I'm feeling right now. Life in general, I'm dealing with a lot. But I'm also handling a lot. This has been very important for me to tackle. I started trauma processing therapy, I think in January. called EMDR. Google it. It's amazing. It took a while for my therapists and psychiatrists to convince me to go, but when it finally clicked, when I was ready, I ran to it with bells on. And I found an amazing EMDR therapist that I clicked with immediately, and I cannot sing her praises enough. Her name is Kavita Murthy. I think her URL is kavitamurthyphd.com. Unreal. Look it up and look up the process, but basically it's a way for trauma sufferers to be able to process trauma that they can't do in sleep like your regular average person. We flush trauma, we process it during these states, and PTSD sufferers don't. So this is a way to simulate that in a controlled environment. And every single time I had a session, I could feel the difference. Like the beginning of a session, I would talk about the trauma, whether it was being raped in college or losing all the babies that we lost. I would go from a visceral reaction at the beginning, like that whole fight or flight, you don't want to talk about it. You don't, everything seizes up, whatever, to by the end, none of that happened. Like it was still something that happened to me and it was awful, but I didn't hold that physical memory of it. It's just very freeing. And now granted, it's not always like one and done. I've done several sessions and sometimes the topics overlap because once you peel one area back, there's maybe a little piece of that other area still there. And that's just how therapy is, right? So I've been doing that, and I feel like maybe because of that, my brain chemistry or whatever has changed. And so I asked my psychiatrist, I'm in a good space as far as positivity, but I feel like I'm walking through mud, and I want it to feel a little easier. So can we do like a drug reset? Like, is that too much to ask? And she's been all for it. So I've come off the 3 drugs. I'm waiting for Wellbutrin last because I've also noticed how extreme these 3 have been on me. So I'm going to take my time on that last one. Let this settle a little before I start. But I think that's a lot of what my anxiety, why it just seems like explosive right now. Not to say that I don't have other things that are contributing to it, but I keep having to be reminded and remind myself that this is hard. Coming off of 3 drugs like this is hard, and I need to be kind to myself. Give myself a little leeway. Girl, you're like coming off some, big brain drugs, So that's been, that's a big part. I just realized I totally lost my train of thought. So distract you, please pay attention to this beautiful piece of artwork that my 4-year-old did. It's in the style of Van Gogh, Starry Night. It's amazing. I know I'm her parent and I'm biased, but she's 4, people. I mean, check it out. But my point is, these drugs have been tremendously helpful for me, and I know they can be for a lot of people. Right now, I want to see if some of the trauma work that I've done has maybe made some of these drugs superfluous. I'd love that. So I know this is, it's a hard time for me, and I need to remember that. Be kind. I'm not good at being kind to myself at all. As I said before, I don't take care of myself, whatever. But today, when I woke up, I was wiped from all the anxiety BS yesterday, and just, and the crying, and just, it's exhausting to have a single panic attack, let alone however many I had this weekend. So I managed to do, the meditation for like an hour. It wasn't like, my mom was like, just 2 minutes, just do 2 minutes and I just sat there in bed like for an hour listening to some like SOS anxiety. It was perfect. I think it was on Insight. But yeah, totally awesome. And then I woke up this morning. So one, I went to sleep at like between 10 and 11, which is for me is crazy, without any drugs or help, and slept until 8. I mean, I've had such major sleeping problems for a long time, but since coming off Ambien, it's been hard. And so last night was just amazing. And when I woke up this morning and realized, oh my God, not only did I get a full night's sleep, and then some. I got up, I made my bed, I was like, oh, I deserve coffee. I'm not a huge coffee drinker, but sometimes I'm really in the mood. So I went and got some coffee at Starbucks and got a little bagel breakfast. And I'm like, this is the way to start the day. This is what people do. They eat meals. And got home and started my work and had, the first half of the day. Amazing. I was gonna say I had lunch, but I forgot lunch. I did buy it. I just didn't eat it. So I have a delicious salad to eat. And then my mom made some great tuna rice for dinner. And it's mom's cooking. It was delicious. And my oldest had her Taekwondo belt ceremony today. So she's officially a blue belt. I'm so proud of her. It's ridiculous. Yeah, she could probably kick my butt. I know she could kick my butt. So yeah, it's been a good day. Also hard day in some aspects, but still hopeful, still trucking along. Yeah, and I'm gonna keep doing this. This feels good to me. I like it a lot.